So I had a really bad round this week. Not quite a rock bottom round, but I would say pretty close to what felt like a rock bottom round. And so I wanted to share what I do after a bad round, because I'm not going to lie, I was pretty deflated, I was pretty disappointed. And so in this round, it just was a case of I could not hit a green and I couldn't save myself. So it really felt like multiple areas of my game let me down a little bit, and that is okay. I think, you know, immediately after, I maybe wouldn't have thought that was okay, because again, I was disappointed, really sort of hoping that I could have scored better. It was my first competition card in my hand as well for probably about 6 months. So I wanted to really embrace those nerves, really tried my best to turn them into excitement and see what I could come out and score. And it just didn't happen. It just didn't come together. And I keep saying this, but I have to keep reminding myself that that is okay. That is golf. We're going to have days where it feels like the practice we've put in has just completely evaporated, and it's almost like we've forgotten how to play golf at all. For me, the keys and what I do after a bad round, it really comes down to pulling out the positives. This can feel like a challenge because especially after you've had a bad round, you just want to write the whole thing off. It feels like everything crumbled. But if I'm honest with myself and if I reflect, my driving was good. I felt pretty happy with my driving, and I had a lot of shots in there that were so close to coming off. And so I felt like I made bold, brave choices. And that is the type of golfer I want to be. I want to be brave and really trust and back myself that I can hit the shots under pressure when they matter. So that's the first step that I go through, is really looking at, okay, even though I might want to write the whole round off, what's the positives? And there will always be some, even if they feel small, even if it's one shot or one hole out of the 18, there will always be some positives that we can pull out from the round. And it's that helps us see the progress that we've made. I know for sure, particularly those bold shots, I probably would have played it safer previously and maybe left myself not necessarily even scrambling, but just playing it a little bit too conservative, a little bit too safe. And so even though on the day those bold shots might not have come off all of the time, that energy and sort of approach that I took, the mindset that I had over the shot, felt good. And I know then when my skill set matches that mindset, those shots will come off and will really allow me to sort of chase down a score rather than feel like I'm playing quite conservatively. So pull out the positives. That is my first step. The second is to then draw on the data. And this is what I talk about in my practice plan, and I've been leaning on that heavily this week after that bad round, to really look at what can I learn? What can I look for in the data? So I'll do a post-round review. You can imagine me, can't you, in my notebook, writing down every shot, kicking myself, no, I'm joking. Really looking for, what can I learn? What were the patterns in my play that let me down the most? What were my consistent misses, or as I like to call it, that low-hanging fruit? And that low-hanging fruit doesn't mean that it's maybe a quick win or an easy win, but it's the consistent miss that if you were to work on that one thing, could really have that ripple effect through your round. And so I know my consistent miss was out to the left, and largely with irons, both long and short. So I know that for me is club face control. With these changes I've been making to my swing, I'm sort of really trying to find that new feeling that I've got on the course. And it just didn't come out that day. They'd sort of start a little bit, almost like draw-like, and then just carry on a little bit too much to the left. So it just meant that I was missing everything, greens, targets to the left, and having to scramble. So I know from that data, looking through the consistent miss, that's what I need to work on next, club face control. And I feel by drawing out the data, that allows me to do two things. One, not just see it as a bad round that I want to forget about, but see it as something that I can learn from. What can I do to improve? What's that one thing that I can focus on that will change my scores the next time I play, or at least give me the confidence that there's a chance that they'll change my scores the next time I play? Because if I go from fearing that I'm going to miss everything left to feeling confident that I've now got that straighter shot in there, I know I'm going to be standing over those shots with a lot more confidence and commitment than maybe that fear that this time I was here last, I really leaked this to the left and got myself in quite a bit of trouble. So it's all about looking for that data to drive what we're going to focus on in our practice and build that confidence back again into the part of our game that might have let us down in that round. So once I've drawn out that data, it's then all about step 3 of what I do after a bad round, is make a plan. So if I know that my focus is club face control, I know where I'm going to be spending probably 70% of my practice time, and that's going to be on the range, but then also on the course, going out, maybe it's solo, maybe with friends, just to really put that work to the test when it counts, which is on the course. And even looking at my practice, like I mentioned, really feeling like, even though I've been working a lot on the range, have I genuinely been focusing on targets? Probably not. If I'm honest with myself, I've been focusing more on the swing feel than making sure that every shot I hit, even if it's with a drill, is aiming at a target. So I can roughly start to see what my misses might be on the range and then learn from that when I'm then taking it to the course. And so that plan for me is all about working on club face control. And then within that, looking as well from the data to think maybe what was the other part of my game that let me down? And it was my short game, which I sound surprised. I mean, I've been working a lot on short game, as you know, from really learning the Dan Grieve stuff. But I just felt that the spots that I got myself in were tricky lies, really sort of tight pins, because I'd been going for it. I sort of really put myself in quite testing situations. So then not only do I know that I've got a big chunk of my practice in my plan on club face control, I know that from that learning of if I am going to be bolder and going for things, I've got to really be able to save myself from tricky situations, not just your sort of go-to chip and run spots, but really thinking about if I've got to get this from this bare lie to that tight pin, how can I practice those shots? And almost feel like I want to make my practice harder than my play, so that when I find myself with those shots on the course, I can feel confident that I've practiced these, I've played these before, and really put myself under a sense of pressure, because that's what I'll be feeling the next time I'm trying to hit a shot to a tight pin with a card in my hand. So that's what I focus on. The bad rounds are going to happen. I really try and remind myself of that as much as it can feel disappointing, frustrating, and even a little bit embarrassing, I guess. You know, we come out, we want to play well. When it's a comp, we want to sort of do our best under those conditions, and it just didn't happen for me on that day. And that's okay, because I'm going to pull out the positives from that bad round to really feel like I can see that sense of progress, that it's coming. And then I'm going to use the data to decide what I'm going to work on in my practice to really try and hone in on that low-hanging fruit, those consistent misses that left me leaking shots on the course, and then use that data to make my plan and feel like I can turn that disappointment into determination. So let me know, what do you do when you've had a bad round? How do you recover from it? Do you have any go-to tips that really help you to feel like you're using it as a positive rather than just writing off the whole thing? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you there.